Welcome, beautiful Paris Saint-Germain family. It's your boy PSG, and in today's video we'll be looking at the top nations and picking 3 players from every single nation to look at the upcoming Euros. First of all, we have Germany. The first player I want to talk about is Toni Kroos. He's obviously coming back from international retirement, just won La Decima, the league title, and obviously his 6th Champions League, if I'm correct, or 5th Champions League. Huge achievement for him, but now he wants to end it with some international glory. Obviously, he already won a World Cup back in 2014. Now he wants to end it with a Euro so he can complete football. Then there are 2 youngsters, hungry youngsters I'm looking forward to watching. The first one obviously has to be Florian Wirtz. He's had an astonishing season with Bayer Leverkusen, and I still don't understand how he's not at least in the top 7 when it comes to the Ballon d'Or ranking. But if Wirtz can do something special in this tournament, at his home nation, he will easily be top 5 when it comes to the Ballon d'Or ranking in October. And the second youngster obviously has to be Jamal Musiala. He's never really reached the heights either with Bayern or with Germany when it comes to his ability. You see him cook Wolfsburg and you see him cook South Korea in the group. But when it comes to the tougher games, Musiala hides a bit. I don't want to see that from Jamal Musiala, so I'll have double eyes on him at this Euros. Next nation to look at is Spain, and Spain have a lot of great players but not so many big names because they're going through a bit of a generational shift. But obviously the first name that I want to talk about is Pedri, coming back from an injury / mid-season for FC Barcelona. I will be looking at his game because obviously at the previous Euros he was one of the best players at that tournament, and I believe won the young player of the tournament. So let's see how Pedri can carry the Spanish national team because he will have the most expectations on him. Next up obviously has to be the wonder kid from FC Barcelona, Lamine Yamal. What can he do with the Spanish national team? Obviously, we've seen him in friendlies, we've seen him in qualifiers against Kosovo and Kosovo and Cyprus and so on. What can he do at the Euros? That's the interesting thing, because I think Lamine Yamal is one of the front runners for the under-23 player of the tournament. But let's see what Lamine Yamal can do at the Euros. The last Spanish player I want to look at is Fabian Ruiz, Fabianicho Ruiz, Paris Saint-Germain player, maybe some PSG bias, but he's recently come back into the national team after Luis Enrique left the national team, and now under De La Fuente, Fabian is having a bit of a resurgence, both for club and for international level. It will be interesting to see what Fabian can do, because he will be one of the most experienced players in that national team, and I'm looking for what Fabian can do. Next nation to look at is England, obviously. And England, I wouldn't say they have many players I'm looking forward to see. Rather, it's fraud watch. It's fraud watch when it comes to the England players, and the first one obviously has to be Phil Foden. He's finally had that exceptional season people have been waiting and looking for when it comes to Phil Foden with Manchester City this season. But when it comes to the national team, he's still not done anything special for that national team. So once again, I've been looking for if Phil Foden is a fraud, a system merchant, or if he's the real deal. Going from one potential fraud to one absolute fraud, we're looking at Jude Bellingham, obviously. He recently won the Champions League with Real Madrid and was crowned the young under-23 player of the tournament. But it will be very interesting what he can do at this upcoming Euros. He's obviously not performed that well for England. Some people want to say he performed well at the World Cup. He didn't. I watched all games. He was ass. I mean, he was cheeky versus Iran in the group stage, where England scored like 6 or 7 goals. But apart from that, especially in the France game where they got knocked out, he was completely hiding. I don't know where he was, what he was doing. He was completely garbage. And I've been looking at Bellingham because I know that UEFA, Euros, all the PR shit are waiting to give him that under-23 award. But will be his biggest critique at this Euros. And lastly but not least, we have Cole Palmer, the stat padder from Chelsea FC. He's obviously had, what, 35 GA or something in the Premier League or in all competitions. But this is a big tournament, and in big tournaments, great players perform. So it'll be interesting to see if Cole Palmer can translate what he's been doing in the Farmers League into the Euros. Next nation to look at is the Netherlands, and obviously the first player I want to look at is Xavi Simons, the golden boy of Paris Saint-Germain. Will he go to PSG? Does he want another loan? We'll have to wait obviously until after the Euros, but he's one player. He has to start. Coleman is a fraud if Xavi Simons doesn't start, and it'll be interesting what Xavi Simons can do. He obviously recently scored his first goal for the Netherlands in a friendly, a cheeky tap-in, but let's see what Xavi Simons can do at this tournament. Next up is Joy Verman. Obviously, this guy, we've been linked with him for a while, but I watched the recent Netherlands games and he's been looking fantastic. His long ball passing is one of the best in the world, and if Joao Verman has a great tournament, his price will go up and there will be a lot of competition for him in this summer transfer window. But Joao Verman, to be a baller at this Euros. And the last Dutch player I want to look at is Frimpong, another player that is really good, but in a very systematic team under Xabi Alonso. And it'll be interesting to see if he can perform like that under the Netherlands. Obviously, at Xabi Alonso's Leverkusen side, he plays more of a winger, same as Grimaldo. But in the Netherlands, he will play more as a conventional right back. And it'll be interesting to see if Frimpong can still perform at the high level he's been doing at Leverkusen this season. And the next nation I want to take a look at is Belgium. Belgium, obviously, another nation that's going through a generational switch. And that's why the first player I want to look at is Andre Onana. I've seen him being linked with both Bayern München and FC Barcelona. Barca are broke. He's not going to go there. They're looking at Palini at the moment. So maybe Onana stays at Everton or goes to another club. But I really want to see if he's the real deal, because if he is, maybe we should look into him. Next up is Jeremy Doku. He's obviously done tremendous work in the Farmers League of the Premier League. And it will be once again very interesting to see if he can do the same thing he's been doing in the Premier League in the Pep Guardiola system at the Belgian national team. I know that he will have a lot of crazy skills and dribbles, but can he have an impact in front of goal or playmaking to his teammates? The last player I want to look at is Arthur Vermen. He was obviously a huge talent coming up from Royal Antwerp in Belgium, and then moved to Atletico Madrid in January, where he's only played a meager 5 games since January. So if he's gonna start, because I'm seeing him starting in some games in a double pivot with Andre Onana, if he starts at this Euros, I really want to see if he's the real deal once again. Next nation to look at is probably the most exciting nation to look at, which is Portugal. Portugal have a lot of ballers in this upcoming tournament, and obviously the first one I want to look at is someone that soon is gonna retire, which is Cristiano Ronaldo. This will 100% be his last Euros. Maybe he goes to another World Cup, we'll see. But this will definitely be his last Euros, and he wants to end it on a good note. He's obviously won this trophy before. Last time he was top scorer. What will it be for Cristiano Ronaldo this time? Next up is obviously Paris Saint-Germain baller Vitinha, Vitor Ferreira. And what can he do with the Portuguese national team? He's obviously been crucial, extremely important for Paris Saint-Germain, especially towards the latter end of the season in the Champions League knockout stages. And he really has never performed that good for PSG before. Neither has he done that for Portugal. And that's why he will definitely be my ones to watch for this Euros tournament. And lastly but not least, another Paris Saint-Germain Portuguese player, it's Nuno Mendes. Nuno Mendes, we obviously know, can perform as the best left back in the world. He has come back from his injury, played in a bit of a weird position at Paris Saint-Germain, but now will be playing on the flank. Maybe next to Leao if Martinez isn't a fraud, it starts Felix. And I can tell everybody here that Nuno Mendes might perform as the best left back in the world in this tournament by far. That's how good it is. Next to last nation to look at is Italy. Italy, once again, a team that's going through a generational shift after winning the Euros in their last tournament. And who was influential for them winning the Euros? It was obviously Gianluigi Donnarumma. And I'll be looking at him once again. Obviously, when it comes to Paris Saint-Germain, he has some difficulties because we're a possession-based side. We want the goalkeeper to sometimes be comfortable with the ball at his feet. But in Italy, he does not have that issue. Pure shot-stopping goalkeeper. And hopefully, Donnarumma has a great Euros once again. Next up, I want to look at Gianluca Scamacca from the Italian national team. He's obviously had the resurgent season at Atalanta this season after his move to West Ham didn't work out. And I really want to see if he can take on the mantle of former Italian strikers. The last player I want to look at is Nico Barella. He's obviously had an iffy season with Inter Milan this season. Not the best, being outperformed by some of the other Inter Milan midfielders. And when they won the Euros in 2021, Barella was not the best midfielder, not even the second best, behind Jorginho and Marco Verratti, obviously. So it'll be interesting to see if he can be the leader in this new midfield, with Jorginho probably not starting and Verratti not being called up. And the last nation, obviously, I want to look at is the French national team. A lot of great players, a lot of ballers, and a lot of PSG players. First one I have to look at is Ousmane Dembele. I've already predicted I think he's gonna be the best player at this Euros, and that's what I'm expecting from Ousmane Dembele. He's just had his best season at Paris Saint-Germain this season in his entire career. Not stats-wise, but playmaking, balling, and obviously fitness-wise. So it'll be interesting to see if Dembele can perform like that with the French national team. Does France counter-attacking football suit Dembele more than possession-based football at Paris Saint-Germain? We'll have to wait and see. Next up is obviously Bradley Barcola. He's one of the only players on this list that's probably not going to be a starter for the French national team, but I do know one thing. If Barcola puts in great performances in the first, second, wherever he gets some minutes to play, I know that Deschamps will be scratching scratching his head if he wants to bench another player to play Bradley Barcola, because that's how great of a player he is. And if he doesn't start, it's not even that bad, because the amazing thing with Bradley Barcola is how he can impact a game off the bench. He's done that countless of times for PSG this season, for Lyon last season, and he will definitely do that for France this season. And the last player to look at is obviously my lookalike, my little brother, my cousin, Warren Zaire-Emery. Obviously, he was spectacular, exceptional in the first 6 months of the season, but then the latter 6 months was not the best at all from Warren Zaire-Emery, even himself agreeing on that. But now it's completely different. You are in a new environment, new competition, new team. You want to end the season great, Warren Zaire-Emery. That France midfield, then bringing back Kante from Saudi, shows us one thing. Deschamps does not rate that midfield good enough. But that means, Warren Zaire-Emery, it's not that hard for you to compete with that midfield. Hopefully you can perform well, whether it's coming off the bench or getting a cheeky start. Warren, I believe and trust you. That's been it for all the players I'll be taking a look at the Euros. Obviously, there are some cute players from some other nations like Turkey and so on and so on, but I really don't care about them that much. These are the main players I'll be looking at for the upcoming Euros. Let me know in the comments down below what players that I didn't mention that you'll be taking a look at the upcoming Euros. That's been it from your boy PSG. Hope you guys have enjoyed this video, and as usual, allez Paris.